Now, they asked me to talk about LARPing in Italy. LARPing in Italy, 60 million people country, stretching for 1,100 kilometers from the frozen Alps to North Africa in 10 minutes, which is challenging. But I will try to do it. Is my English good for everyone? Should I go slow or not? I think it's good enough. Okay. I try to. My problem is I speak too much. So condensing things is a nightmare for me. But I'm sure this time I gave you my best. I really tried inspiration for days and days, and after hours and hours of work, I came to the utmost resume. My presentation is just one slide, and that's it. Of course, it's a joke, but it's partly true. Italy is still into the 90s for most of its LARPing scene. So it's funny that somebody in Italy has this bravado that we are first echelon European Union country, we were in the G5 or whatever, and then Poland, which was this ex-communist bloc frozen country somewhere else, it's much forward, but it's like that. So I must bow to the fact that the local LARPing scene looks much more vivid and interesting than ours. Still, I don't have time to talk long of many things, so it would be really great, this is me, it would be really great if you could ask me questions first. So you tell me what you want to know. I did the awful slides, they are very verbose, full of words, because I want to leave them with you. So if you have to, you can read them later. I will go quickly over what you may want to see. And so, okay, so if you can tell me what you want me to stress, I will just focus.
First question that I see that it's mostly D&D. Does this mean that the setting, or does they make
skill points, combos,
right,
powers,
so they,
kill
so
the
they
monster,
make a tabletop game in real
solve the
life.
enigma, that thing. Which is not bad in absolute, but I think we can do it.
Just it's because mostly I see that in the US that they're playing tabletop games in real life.
Yes,
Different kind
in
of
the let's say the community that looks like the Nordic in Italy, we will say this, that the most of Italy is like tabletop gaming in costume. And I know that in Scandinavia they tend to call it American style. I don't know why.
Because in America they do this nearly exclusively,
okay.
or at least they do this a few years ago.
Oh, that's it. Okay, more question. What do you want me to cover especially? Tell me.
Are Nordic LARP players in Italy interested in socializing with international LARP society?
Okay, unfortunately not.
So what are you drinking?
I'm an ambassador. I'm an early adopter, and I hope I will bring many more people with me.
Could you name some conventions, the most popular?
Okay, I will go over that.
Epic Italian stuff, epic Italian labs.
Epic Italian LARPs.
Yeah.
With epic you mean?
Things we
Memory.
totally want to go, but we don't know it yet.
Okay, I will cover this as well. I will start this one.
And the budget?
Okay, it's not in the slides, but we can talk budgets. Okay, we can talk. You have to remember that in my first-hand example here, my first impression here in Poland is that the ratio zloty to euro between buying power is more or less the same. So what you can do with 10 zloty here, you can do with an euro in Italy. Very roughly, very roughly. So when I give you budget, you have to consider this thing. Okay, so verbose slides. The first Italian play, I had to do a lot of research because, of course, as you can imagine, there is no data. There is no survey, no nothing. It's all based on interviews and things like that. The first documented players, late 80s, they went to the Great Britain, they discovered the Loyal Society gathering. Wonderful, it's D&D with costumes, we do it, we come back. But there were just a few early adopters. The first recorded groups are in the late 90s. And then it's only in 2000s that things started to liven up. But it was absolutely that model. It was that model. It was the Lion Gathering. And most of the important groups now are born a decade ago. Let's say those that are now the relevant groups have 8, 10 years, 12 years. Those older have become smaller or shrunk or disappeared.
So the community is a bit younger than Polish.
I don't know about Polish community. I would say that most of those who are on the block now have a decade behind them. There is some dinosaurs with 20 years or so, but they're few. Mostly, those that started so early have gone out of LARP. Some have went to reenactment, some have decided that they have to make children to be on LARPing and things like that.
Okay.
I will stress on the last point, 2013, beginning of the not so silent revolution. That was the first contact between Italy and Nordic LARP when an organizing team went to the Monitor Celestia in Gothenburg in Sweden. And they were so amazed that they decided to rewrite their LARP and start a Nordic marketing push, and they are having some success. I will go over it later. The only census we have is thanks to the Americans. Okay, the attempts we had in Italy were useless, but this LARP census done by Aaron Vanek and all the other guys that you heard about on the Polish side. On the Italian side, this is the result. As you see, there is just to me, it's very few respondents, just 700. And I swear we gave lots of publicity on Facebook. That's how we got. And that's what counts. Mostly male. Mostly, which is not a surprise, around 30 years, 25, 30 or so. They don't play that much. The typical association has 3, 4, 5 events per year. Mostly they are campings. There is a small community of junkies, like doing an event a month, also abroad. It's almost only fantasy. Plus there is a sizable, if smaller, vampire community. They're very detached, they don't talk to each other. Those that play vampires hardly play fantasy. Those that play even those that play fantasy buffers shun on the vampires, so it's like the food chain, you know?
It's very exactly the same in Spain.
But I don't think this is very surprising to you. Maybe some percentages, but I think aside from the
We went through that.
Okay. This is my best contribution in terms of hard work, because I tell you that these numbers were really hard to come by, and it's really all the numbers I found about Italian LARP. And these are true. What is written is totally true. So we try to ask people through personal acquaintance or Facebook to register themselves in a sort of roster to understand who were the groups. And we have 106 groups registered. Maybe there are more, but I would say that those who were not reachable must be really over 10. So they are all most small. The typical group in Italy is me, 10 friends. We recruit 20 more friends, and we play our own little fantasy D&D on foot campaign. Sorry, this is the deal. Maybe they say, no, but we are innovational because we put some steampunk element into a D&D on foot campaign. Right. There is one big association in the north. It's called the Green Bubble. Well, it sort of spawned smaller associations that they all say they do this astounding innovation. You know, the astounding innovation is maybe they change a bit to steampunk. Maybe they double the numbers of power cards, or triple the numbers of skills you can buy. That's the innovation for them. So, okay, I forgot to make one point first. I am biased because I like Nordic LARP. So you will hardly find me talking enthusiastically of D&D on foot, but I respect it. I swear I respect it. I started with that. My first year playing was with that.
A question about those fantasy LARPs, D&D LARPs. Did you notice any board characters on Italian fantasy LARPs? Crafter, postman, and
Some non-combatant. Yes.
There are some. Mostly the girlfriend of the guy, or the new shy guy, and they usually say, no, I'm here for the canteen, don't worry. It's okay, I'm dressed, and yeah, I have my pointed ears, it's fine.
mostly warriors, wizards.
Yeah, the fashionable thing is either to be a very good fencer or to be sly.
So in general, the distribution of characters is voting for high-level characters, yeah?
Yeah, I don't want to spend too much words on this community, because I only have 5 minutes, but let's say those people really enjoy to write the very character they want, the way they want it, it's just their dream character, and to bring it into a world when they can become the prince, the king, or to kill, assassinate the king of someone else and become overly rich. That they love this thing. It's a joy. Okay, in a nutshell, this, in my opinion, are the categories you find in Italy. So buffer fantasy is the vast majority, 80, maybe 90%. Then, as I said, we have vampires. There is one event which is like the Drachenfest. It was called Festa del Drago, which is the same thing. Then they rebooted 3 years ago with a bigger budget, and they managed to grow significantly because they had the funding to build a village. They are not sharing it, they are only using it for themselves. But they built a small village in a valley near Rome, and they made 1,010 players last year. They started 3 years ago with 650. So this is the single mass event you can find in Italy. It looks a lot like Drachenfest. It's about 4 houses competing for power, and the one that gets more points is the ruler for the next year. That's the story. I know of some foreigners that went there, but they have to manage with Italian, or to accept that with some Italians they speak English, with others nothing. Okay, freeform chambers. It's always been there. They were the first. They were not in connection with the Nordic, but they came from theater and they did freeform and chambers, and they are still there, but they are like hidden. They never grew. Maybe there is a few hundred, but I would say even less. They hang around, and that's it. So it's there. It's always been there. It will always be there. It doesn't grow. And Nordic Light is hopefully the rising star in my hope, because I have much more fun there than in the traditional buffer. This I will not spend the time on this. If you want to know the groups, you come to me later. I just try to write down which are the important groups in each section. Great cons. We hardly meet. The local reality has been severely divided for ages. Only Facebook started bringing people together in the past year and a half. So now there is discussion groups. We managed to get to 2,500 people common group, and discussion group with 1,300. So it's already interesting numbers. And since this Nordic community is doing its marketing and trying to promote high quality one-shots, the debate is unavoidable. And so the community is at least getting to know each other. At worst they say, okay, I don't like what you do, or I don't like what you do. But now everybody knows who are the big kids in the other garden, and there is a more in-contact community. The success of the Nordic scene, in my opinion, is that they managed to cooperate, which almost never happens in the other scene. They like their own little garden. The cooperation of the Nordic scene brought to the first cooperative Nordic LARP in Italy, and I will talk about this later. The only convention, Virginia, that we have is the LARP Symposium that was founded by these freeform guys like 10 years ago, and it has like 30 people. It's ridiculous. So we don't have a convention.
I'm on the site of LARP Symposium in Italy, so, and if, I have a question, is this LARP Symposium have program in English, some kind of?
Forget it.
No.
I'm pushing a lot for the internationalization of the Italian community. We are not there yet. We may be, this is the last thing I wanted to say. We may get there in 2016. 2015, maybe for those who are courageous, we can have language neutrals. I can push to have some LARPs when you can speak whatever language you want, but you can't demand them to answer in that language because maybe they don't speak it. That's all. Yes?
You said that the community is very separated, but is it because they don't talk between games, or doesn't even go to other games? Right?
They don't go.
So players
most people are happy with their own little community because it's a lot about friendship. It's a lot about circles of friendship. Many find that LARP is a good way of having nice time with people. They tend to go a lot of games, like see what you mean. My time is up. I wish I could show some pictures. I can do it now after in the break between the two presentations if you like. And please come to me for any question. Anything I can do to bring people to Italy or to bring Italians abroad, I will do it. Thank you.